All right. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. My guest today is Heidi. Heidi is a reading and writing interventionist. Heidi, you're a formal special ed teacher.
Mhm.
You have a master's degree in educational psychology. You have a certification in Wired for Reading and Handwriting Without Tears.
Mhm.
But the coolest thing about Heidi is that she is by far the most active koala creator of all time. I was counting I was counting your creations, Heidi, right before. You have 31 creations on the Koala Go marketplace
Mhm.
and 42 creations on the Koala 3D marketplace.
Yeah,
So welcome, Heidi.
yeah.
And congratulations.
Hey. A lot of those, about at least 12 of those Koala Go ones are because I've had COVID the last 2 weeks.
Oh,
And boy,
so good.
I just sat and created and created and created because I didn't have
Yeah,
anything else to do.
we saw that. We saw that with
But
the
I
Koala
because
review team. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's a set that I've wanted to do for a long time. Because in Qual 3D, I did an all about incentives, which is free, and there are activities that are themed that you can do. You know, let your student help keep track of what they do and reward them and things in 3D, and then there are individual creative activities, which have been really popular and really fun to make. And so I did a whole nother set of 10 activities, both in 3D and Go. So I'll kind of share what those look like. If anybody has questions or comments, or I just got a few requests on the website of, hey, could you do this? Could you do, this theme or that theme? And I'm totally for it. So let me switch to that really quick. Um, so they're basically little activities where, as you go through your lesson, you can let the student move things, or you can have a pedal by each activity, and then they can move things. Like this one, you move. It's got to make sure that this is one thing that's really handy. If you double click, or you two click, or uh so left click, or I'm a Mac person, so I just two click.
Right click. Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that that's in the back. And so they can put petals on the flower. They could put a unicorn together. And then you notice here, there's a picture of an activity that you can get in the marketplace that is a creative activity. So you'll get all of these, and you can pick your color of horse, the mane, the tail, the horn, the whatever little fun things go on the rump of the unicorn, as something that's an activity for the kids that really really love that creativity. And so I have a dinosaur one, put the eggs in the nest, a monster one. I really like this one. It's fun because this is the cool closet, so you get to put the monster in the closet, or you can hide it under the bed,
Nice.
which is fun. Making cupcakes and your own cakes and decorating them. Um, Being able to put a race car together, which is really cool. And this is my favorite thing. So here's what you'd put the wheels on. You got a nice stripe, a little front thing, got your fin on the back. This is the coolest thing. Look at this. It's a see-through bubble.
Nice.
So
If I
cool.
if I may interrupt quickly, we have a question from Emily. She's asking, where do you get your images, clip art to make these activities?
So I make some of them on Adobe Illustrator, and I get some of them from Pixabay. And I also have an artist that I work with that has done some big groups of pictures, especially ones that I've needed for phonics that need to have certain endings or spellings or things like that. So lots of different places.
So I think this is actually a question I wanted to ask you, Heidi, but this is the way you create your content is very creative. you are very resourceful in ways to create your images.
Yes.
So like that artist that you reached out to, did you say it was somebody in India that you work with, and you send them a list of things that you want, and then you pay them so that they create images that are all consistent?
So I have two artists in India. Yeah, and I do it through, there's lots of different formats, but I do it through guru.com, where you could go in and just all kinds of whatever you need, and people will bid on it. So if I say like, I need 150 images that are vector graphics that, and sometimes I'll send them, like I'll find a picture online, just whatever picture I want, something like, so I'll give them like a reference picture, something like this. But yeah, and it's been really good, and especially if I'm planning out. If it's something that I just kind of need right now, I generally either try to make it myself in Adobe Illustrator, or I'll go to Pixabay. Pixabay, if you can get, and I know this gets kind of technical, but if you have like Adobe Illustrator or something, you can get images or vector graphics that you can put in the program, and you can actually change their color and take them apart and do all kinds of stuff with them, which allows me to do some of these, put together a car. So this original car, I think, was black, but I was able to isolate the different parts and take them apart.
Because it's a vector image.
Because it's a vector graphic. So it's not just like a picture altogether, but it's got all the parts that the artist originally did digitally.
Yeah.
So, so really fun. I can totally get caught up in it. This one, I have a student that's totally all about like ancient warfare. And so this one, I made the little lead balls, but we've got like a trebuchet here. And
awesome.
He gets to throw them at the castle. And then the actual activity has all kind of, horses and archers and stuff. And so he puts together his own little battle.
So, and Heidi, like, for what type of use cases do you recommend teachers to use these activities? Is it to teach language, to teach English as a second language, or as a reward system, or anything?
Everything. Because, so like this one, for example. So the basic concept of the free room is that you can put these monkeys. So if you have a student that just hates doing math, you might have their 6 problems and put a monkey by each problem. And as they finish the problem, they get to put the monkey on the tree. And that way, sometimes they'll focus a little more on the monkeys, and so it makes the math problems not so bad. Nice. And so any activity that you want your student to do, or any behavior that you want to improve, like if you have a student that's always turning off their camera, like for every, I'm going to have a minute timer, and whenever it dings, if your camera is on, we're putting a monkey in the tree. Nice. And so you just have to, whatever behavior you want, whether it's, doing a specific activity or keeping their camera on, or just whatever you want them to do or not do.
Yep.
Arrange kind of to give them rewards that are incentivizing. And it's similar to the stars that you give them to get into the playground. And we don't have that in 3D. So this is super helpful in 3D, but also for students who are really creative, having a reward, because there's so many different topics. If it's something they really love, they'll work for it. So if I go to, so the ones everybody's seen, does anybody want to see one of the actual reward activities? You guys can choose the topic.
Heidi, sorry to interrupt. I think there's a question from Lisa who was asking, where can I find the marketplace? And I think it may be valuable for everybody if you could show Heidi how to get access to those activities through the Koala marketplace.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So if we just go up to the top, and I always go to teachwithkoala.com. Okay. And so up here, this is Koala Go. And then over here is 3D. So if I go to Koala Go, right here, Marketplace, and I hit Marketplace. Okay, so let's find my, Okay, so I just put incentives in there. And we can pull up the all about incentives too. Or let's see if we can put, okay, create a monster reward activity. Okay, so you can click on whatever, and then it will show you the activity. And this one, each of the reward activities is $2.95. But if you go and you do the incentive, all about incentives too, then you just click open. It's free. And it will go into your activities on your Koala Go page, and it's ready to use. And you just bring it up and page through it and use it. So really simple. If you want to go to 3D, you go over here to 3D, and you go to the Koala 3D Marketplace. And it's the same. Takes a little bit longer, I think, just because there's so many 3Ds in here. Okay, and again, one of the nice things that is coming on Koala Go, but that is not on here yet, is you can, so here's all about incentives. Again, this is free. If you click my name, I'm up to 51. It'll show you, like, here's our all about incentives too. And you can go to details. And again, this one is free. And on this one, there's a little video that will talk you through it. And again, this one's free. So if you click on it to get it, it will go right into your templates for your 3D space. And the kind of fun thing about 3D, which hopefully is coming to Go soon. So I'm in my 3D room here, and this is a Henry. It's a Henry monster. He's the one that made that one. So we have all our monster parts here in our closet and our bed with a little one under the bed. But the fun thing here is that because there's sound, you can play music. So I thought this sounded kind of like a little monster creeping around in a room. But you can have a little background sound. It lasts 3 minutes. So I'm excited for that to come to Koala Go, because it just really adds a lot and it's fun. Oh, hello, kitty cat. I'm surprised. Hold on just a minute. I have to do this for a second. Stop. Everybody want to see my kitty?
Oh my
wow.
gosh. It's a big baby.
Yeah, and there's a second one that's I'm surprised you haven't seen her walk across, because as you know, we
I
have. So some other things that are let me find the right one.
And we're gonna try to prioritize adding associate sounds to items in Koala Go.
Yeah, that would be great, especially because, hold on just a minute, let me get back to Koala. For phonemic awareness classrooms and things where it relies really heavily on sound, it just is really helpful. Okay, so another thing that I did while I had COVID is, because as I was thinking about like what kind of things I would like to see and make, I want to make like kind of a more coherent, I don't want to say like a curriculum, but a series of rooms that really follows the science of reading and where you need to start with students. Because what I found is that, let me pull one of these up. So we'll do F and V. A lot of people start at, this is the letter C, it says K, right? But really a lot of, especially if students are having difficulty reading, a lot of the problem is with how they hear sounds. Can they hear sounds, and can they make sounds? And can they identify sounds before letters even come into the picture? Letters are just symbols that we made up, and they're not natural. It's not something natural. It's a symbol system that we made up. And so a lot of the difficulties in reading come from their ability to hear and distinguish sounds and how the sounds are made. And so if you can catch a lot of those problems there, a lot of their problems with reading don't become problems anymore. So each of these letter pairs I'm working on, let me go back to the beginning. I'm working on pairs that should be taught together because they're made the same way. So I have a P and B one up right now. I think I have T and D. So for example, F and V, they're both made with your teeth on your lips. And they're both made by squeezing the air out of your mouth. And so the only difference is with the F sound, it's unvoiced or it's whispered. And there's two ways you can tell if it's whispered. This is fun for kids. If you put your hand right here and you make the F sound, you don't feel anything, right? Now, if you have the V sound, you make it the exact same way, you're just turning your voice on. So if you put your hand here and go, we call it buzzing, or it's voice because you can, or the other thing that's really apparent is do the two of them and put your hands over your ears. So if you do the sound, all you hear is a whisper. And if you do the sound, you can hear your voice and it's super loud. So I'm doing these sets of rooms that put sounds together according to how they're made. Because if students can understand how they're made, they understand they're making them correctly and they understand what they sound like, because they have to know that before they can find them in words. So there's always kind of a scavenger hunt where they can think of all the ones that sound with that have that same sound at the beginning. I do start to introduce the symbols. That's not the really important thing right now, but you can always introduce them. And with our V, and then we have a frog and toad, F and T. So we have them start writing with similar letters. Then this is all identifying, like the word fruit. Where do you hear the f sound? So they start saying, is it the beginning? Is it in the middle or the end? And they can sort, like fruit, I hear it at the beginning. So we start getting into more the phonemic awareness. And then with our V sound, and then they have to decide, like with fig, do they hear an F or do they hear a V? So these are really basic in my vacuum, V's and U's, tic-tac-toe. And then there's always some kind of game as well. And this one is, you roll a dice, you practice the letter according. So if I landed here, I'm like, oh, that's this color. Oh, I have to write it with my finger on my arm. V. And so it gives them a lot of practice. And you can do these over and over again. Because if you're discovering that, oh, my student can't hear that sound, or my student's not making that sound right, this is where you need to practice. And I know a lot of times in teaching, they skip this part. So I think there's going to end up being maybe 10 rooms covering all the consonants. And then, which I'm hoping to be able to bundle together. Hooray for bundling.
I see that you come here with an agenda of and feature request, Heidi.
Yes.
You should.
Just showing you how convenient and how helpful, it would be. So that's another thing that and then I'll move on to the vowel sounds, which are harder than these, and spelling patterns and things like that. But I would like to really have a kind of a scope and sequence. Like you start in this room, and this is what should come next and next and next and next.
As part of the bundle, you mean?
Yeah.
1, 2,
or
3,
in
4,
each
5,
of the
6.
rooms, I'll just put the scope and sequence there saying, okay, if you want the next room, this is what would be next.
Yeah.
And so even if you don't have really in-depth training about, how phonics should work or, what you should be working on, the exercises are kind of laid out for you to help you discover what, how the student's doing, will pinpoint what are those difficulties that they're having.
What
And
prevents you from doing that today, Heidi, the scope and sequence, and saying at the end of each activity, say, hey, the next activity would be this one?
because not all the activities are made yet.
Yes.
And being able to, so I can put the scope and sequence in as soon as I get them all made. I have about 3 more to do of this one. And so it's going to be kind of a rollout. And then I think it would just really help to have it bundled together. So like people could do the rooms individually, but they say, I want all the consonant rooms.
Makes sense.
And then
Sorry to interrupt, Heidi. We have just a question from Emily. She asked a little while ago, actually. Sorry, Emily. She's asking, is there a guideline as far as the amount you have to change something to pass copyright issues for resale?
I think there is. I don't know what that is, though.
What is our policies of?
Yeah, so the policy is if you create an activity that you want to resell, you need to have a commercial license for every single piece of content in your activity, or you need to be the creator. Heidi, for instance, is a very good example here. In Heidi's creations, there's a combination of images from Pixabay and her own creations. Her own creations, of course, she created them or she paid somebody to create them for her. She owns them completely. She's therefore allowed to sell activities that contain those images. And the images that she downloads from Pixabay Pixabay has a site-wide commercial license for every image. And therefore, a commercial license means Heidi is allowed to take those images, put them in activities, and resell those activities.
But I must add value to it. Like I can't take those images and just sell those images. I can't sell the files. I don't own those. But if I put them in an activity which adds value to them, then I can. So I can't just put 10 images on here and sell them.
That's right.
Just because they're the images. For pointing that out. Yeah, because that would, I didn't add anything to the I didn't add anything to them. So another thing that I've done is we have some free, I think this was highlighted on, this is one of the most popular ones. It's just a balloon library. I made all of these balloons. You can copy them. You can make, I had some just ideas of things you could do to use the balloons in your own classrooms with your own students. And the other thing is that even with say the unicorn room, I mean, those images you can copy, you can put them around your, like if a student makes a unicorn, you can select it and you can copy it and you can put it on another page. And so then they can do another one and they can do another one. And you can, sometimes I screenshot them and send them to their parents and, look what they created today. I've put a few on our, the Facebook page with permission. Sometimes I'll say, hey, look what Sozi did in this, because they're proud of the things that they make. And you could make up activities with unicorn horns, and because you have those images for that activity, but within your own personal use, you could make all kinds of activities and themes and use it with that student or multiple students. Are there any other questions?
I don't think so. I think that's it for now.
Yeah. So a couple other types of activities I've done. Um, let me. Oh, so in the 3D arena, I do have a. Actually, no, I may show this to you just because it's. I do have kind of some neon themed rooms, and I know this is my favorite, and this is. Whoops, sorry. Let me get this up. I have some neon themed rooms, which are super fun. And I've tried to, at least with some of them, I gotta get my workspaces up. I have tried to kind of duplicate them in Qualigo since it's not 3D
Yet.
I've kind of just done it the best I can. Okay, here we go. Because you got to have the reveal. I can tell you, I laughed out loud the first time Ben went into this room because it was, and it still gets me every time. So it's an upstairs room, and I call it my neon hideout. And you go in there, whoo, and you're in like a dark.
So awesome.
Yeah, and it really, when I was first putting it together, because I can actually cover kind of these boards and things, so it's like completely dark, and I completely disoriented myself. Like I didn't know where I was. I could see this little button, like, okay, and I finally put a thing around the door so I at least see where the door was. Yeah, but I wanted to find something for older kids that they would think was cool, and there's an alphabet up here that you can spell things with. And then in Koala Go, I didn't put the hideout. I don't know if people would find that cool. Maybe put a neon alphabet, but I do have some parts of speech rooms that are kind of themed in with kind of the neon letters, which are fun. So this one is all just parts of speech: nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and sentence building, where it's basically a lot of, starts with just nouns, person, place, or things, nouns and verbs, more abstract verbs, because these are tough, saying that they're actions, is, was, were, are. And then some fun activities, putting your adjectives with your nouns and being silly, putting your verbs with your adverbs, telling apart adjectives and adverbs. And then several sentence building pages where, like, okay, I want you to make a sentence with a noun and an adjective and a verb, or a noun and a verb and an adverb. And they can just pull up different. And if you have a group, it's kind of fun because it's like, okay, I want one to pick a noun, I want one to pick an adjective, one to pick a verb, one to pick an adverb. We're going to put them all up here and we're going to see what our sentence says. And it's usually something ridiculous, but that's the fun of it, right? So there's some different pages like that. And then I have an additional one that is more sentence building, where it gives you frames of, it gives you, let me go to the beginning. It gives you frames of sentences where you can pull these neon words up and start with really simple sentences, and then getting more and more like, okay, we're going to add an adverb. And again, and we go all the way up to, okay, we're going to have adjective, verb. And it starts, and it has some prepositions in it, prepositional phrase. So just fun activities that students can do. And then again, just a whole page of nouns. So if you want to do your own sort, you can copy these, you can put them in your own activity, you can do another sort, you can do, more identification, because now you have, I think, like over 120, 150 different verbs and adjectives and adverbs set there for you to do whatever you want with.
Wow.
Are there any other
questions?
Yeah, any other questions, or
there is a question.
Rooms of mine that you'd like to see?
Well, Emily's asking, can you guys comment about Canva creations related to the Koala Go marketplace? And then before you answer, Xav, we're live on YouTube, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta go check YouTube to see if there's any questions. Do you have the link by any chance?
But I have the YouTube video in front of me, so I'm
Oh,
checking
okay,
it. Don't
okay.
worry
Never
about
mind.
it.
Okay,
But I
go ahead.
don't see Emily's
Yeah,
questions for some reason. Do you know why?
they're in the question and answer section. So
Oh, that's why in the Q&A.
if you, yeah, can you
My bad.
guys? So I'll
Got
ask
it,
the
got it.
question again. Can you guys comment about Canva creations related to the Koala Go marketplace?
Canva creations related to the Koala Go marketplace. Yeah, so I think what you're asking, maybe Heidi, you can help me out on this one. But Emily, you're asking if you create images on Canva, are you allowed to include them in Koala Go activities that you sell on the marketplace? Is that what you're saying? And if that is your yes, okay, yeah, that's totally okay. Yeah, if as long as those images are your creations, you own them. This is you have the full rights to sell them at whatever price you want on the marketplace. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Canva, but I'm assuming that it's yeah, it's more kind of for presentations. I would just be so if you use a picture that's theirs in a presentation, I'm not sure if you can sell that picture.
Right. Only if you create it yourself.
Only if you create it yourself.
Right.
It's not enough to put other pictures together on a screen, even if there are arrows and it explains something. If those pictures are not your pictures,
Yeah.
or it's not like Pixabay where they have this background license that's already there, then you can
Right.
say you've added, if you put them in a presentation to explain something, you've added value to them. So that's the main question, is like, is there a license behind it? And most of those licenses also say it's an added value. You can't sell the file.
Yeah.
But also in, I don't know, in Koala Go or 3D, somebody can't take that file out of, which I think is a safeguard, especially for Pixabay. We can't technically sell the actual file of the image, because you can't take, unless you screenshot it or whatever, but that's not the file. Yep. You take it out of that.
You cannot export images from Koala today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe let me share one of my students' favorite favorite games. And actually, this is my favorite game because it is a team game, no winners or losers. And it is it's customizable. In fact, I have several. I don't think I've put these other ones up yet. But I know Race It Robot is up there. And I just call it Race It. And then I have a sports one and a unicorn one. But really the only theme part of this game is the little charms that you gather. Let me see if this is going to load.
The moment of truth.
The moment of truth. There we go. Okay. So really the only theme thing about this whole game is this has little robots that you collect. And you win the game by, as a team, collecting all the little robots before the chaser. In this case, it's a little R2-D2. And if you were in the 3D room, you'd click this and he'd go bloop, 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 which is really fun. That's why the kids like to move that, because it makes their little robot sound. So for each turn, our little robot moves one. And so you're racing the robot because you have to try to get all the charms in your charm bank before the chaser gets all the way around. Now, the cool thing about this is that You can see it's color coded. If you land on a robot, you get to put it in there. Or if you land in the middle, that's kind of a free space, you get to put it in there. If you don't, you land on a color. So here are pieces. So say I have, I land on this red one. You decide as a teacher, okay, what does my student need to practice today? Okay, my student needs to know what the prefix con means. It means with and together, or the different forms of con. And so if they land on this, it's like, oh, what does con mean? And they practice that. If you're doing multiplication tables and you really need work on the sevens, this one is going to be 3 times 7. And they're all going to be sevens times tables. So wherever the student lands, if they land on blue, they do the blue task. So it doesn't matter what your student's studying or what, it's whatever they need to practice. And you just put that in is what they need to do. Maybe it's to spell a CVC word. So if up here, we're going to do CVC word. And so you like, okay, spell the word cat. And so it's a forever practice game that grows with your student to whatever they need. I'll just show you right here. This is the dice I generally use. It's from toytheater.com dice. And the fun thing is that, so you can say how many dice you want. You have all these fun different types of dice. I usually do 2 regular dice, but I could do one 12-sided dice. And then you throw it, and it has like a cool, sound effect and everything. And then I generally go back and forth. The other thing is, like, you could make it into a spinner if you're doing a color game.
So you open this in the shared browser, Heidi?
I opened it in the share browser and it wouldn't roll, but it will open. So I have to troubleshoot that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll take a look.
Yeah. So you can flip a coin. You can do playing cards. So, but I usually just do a dice, and it has a fun sound effect. The 4-sided dice is kind of weird because you have to kind of look at what's on the top there. And so we just go back and forth. I usually roll the dice, or even if they don't see it, I'm just rolling it, and then they get to move. And you just take turns moving around, and the robot keeps on this, the robot, R2D2 keeps going around, and you just try to get everything into your bank before this goes around. So it's not competitive. You have to do it together. And lots of times, because I'll play too, what I'll do is I'll make a mistake on mine, whatever it is, and then they have to figure out, oh wait, no, you didn't do that right. The answer is da-da. And so actually everybody is practicing even on my turn. And so it's—
And this is very popular with your students?
Oh, it's like one of the only things we play.
Nice.
Because it's, especially if you have the sound effects, and you just change what the practice things are. So so this is like erase it unicorn. So basically,
Heidi, let me just take a second to answer to Emily question. Yeah, so Emily's saying, if you make these types of activities in Canva, I was just wanting to make sure that it would be allowed for resale on the Koala Go marketplace. Yeah, so Emily, I'm not too familiar about what you can do in Canva, but the basics is this. If in Canva you use, for instance, images from other creators and you combine them together and you use that to make your activity, then it may be a copyright infringement, because there may be a copyright on those images that you're using. So you can do that as long as you can show to the copyright review team that you have a commercial license, meaning the creators of those images give you a commercial license. But if in Canva you start from a blank Canva and you start drawing and you make images yourself, and you use that for your activity, then it's totally okay. I hope that
Usually
makes sense.
there's, if you go to the very, I'm looking at this right now. They usually have something about licensing. And usually that's if I have a question about anything, I usually go and try to find their licensing, because I'm sure you're not the first person who's asked the question, and like, because
Totally.
like that's their business. And so do Canva creators. So that's what I would do. And they have a marketplace as well, it looks like. So the other thing, yeah, they may have permission if you put it in their marketplace. Because they have their own market. So that's one thing I would ask them, or even do a contact them and say, ask them.
Yeah.
Can I sell this on another, what are your licensing regulations for selling it on another platform? So that would be my, because it is.
And sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that is one of the most, like when I first started, that's why I had a lot of my images made, because like, I don't know. I mean, I'm artistic, but like by any means, I don't like draw and I've learned a lot in, I can make it look right, but I can't like draw a face or, and so that was one of my main concerns too, is like, how do I make sure that what I'm doing is fine copyright wise?
And Heidi, what type of website would you recommend to people who want to get started with creations to find commercially images that have commercial license?
I go to Pixabay.
Pixabay, yeah.
They usually have what I need. If not, I try to create it myself.
Yep.
I find a similar image, I try to draw it myself, add color. Adobe Illustrator is amazing. It can make things look really good. It can do the shading for you and all that kind of stuff. So it was a learning curve for me as well, as far as how to create digitally.
Yeah. But you have to pay to get the Adobe Illustrator license?
You do, if you want the full. Yep. There are some other ones that people have. There are some free ones out there. But I've tried a couple of them and I definitely liked Adobe.
Yep.
So, but there are some other ones you can try. Just look up, free digital design software, or vector graphic software, and play with it. Play with it and see if you like it. So it definitely is, but I do find Pixabay has quite a bit of what I need. And if not, I can pull it in and I can change it to be what I need. All right, any other questions or activities you want to see? Let me see what. Oh, this other one I can kind of show you, because if some of you I know are going between 3D and Koala Go, and I can tell you that Koala Go is much less taxing on your computer, and and is actually good for kids, especially with attention problems. Like I've got a student in 3D that just runs haywire. We only go in there to play because there's no way I'm teaching him anything, because he's just like, run all over the place. And that's why one thing in Koala Go I really like, that the playground is separate from the teaching platform, because it's not, well, I can go into I can go into focus mode here, which is good. But let me show you one of the really fun times I had. This is one thing that I just I do get lost in this kind of stuff. And so this was one that I had a lot of fun. It's all about suffixes, and I do have this one in Koala Go as well. So we'll just see it populate up here. So this is a butterfly treetop where it has our kind caterpillar suffixes. And you can see that the suffixes are kind of, the caterpillars are all around the room, and you kind of have to find them depending on where you're standing. And then we have our crocodile. So this is all about suffixes that start with vowels and suffixes that start with, whoops, gotta open the door, but I can't see it. There we go.
It's camouflaged.
It's camouflaged, yeah. And then we have our crocodile swamp that has all of the vicious, the consonant crusher crocodiles. Because when you have a vowel suffix is where you have to watch out and change your spelling. And so this one was really fun, and I can show you kind of what it looks like in 3D. So I gotta get it through here. There we go. That's the other thing about 3D that's fun, is you can put walls up. In fact, I'm working on this. Maybe I'll show it to you. It's a hide and seek room in 3D that's got all kinds of panels that you can run behind, and literally, unless you know it's there, you can't tell it's there. And so there's been several times where I hide or my students hide. It's like, okay, you got to come out. I can't find you. I don't know where you are because there's all kinds of panels and things in there. And so this just goes and just teaches all about what you need to do, especially if you've got a consonant crusher crocodile suffix, and when you need to double it and when you're okay, because that crocodile is going to eat the consonant. And then when you end up, there's just tons of practice. But hold on a second, because the hide and seek room is not done yet, but I know people like to play hide and seek, so let me just show you where it is so far. It'll give away a few things. Let me find it. Here we go. Because I have one of my students that is crazy about hide and seek. Oh, so you see it start populating everything in here. Okay. So if I go over here, you can kind of see that there's a panel there, but you can't tell.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell.
Yeah. But you can walk right through it.
Nice.
You gotta watch. You have to watch where your laser is, though, because if your laser is pointing out, they can see the dot. So if I go into first person view, I can actually see out, but I'm totally hidden. And so
as long as your laser is behind you.
As long as the laser is going backwards, so they can't see me. And yeah, so there's
that's super cool.
The cool thing that I'm working on now, because I realize I have to have a student in here with me, because sometimes if I have the wall the wrong way, they can actually see me. So I have to go someplace and like, can you see me here? Like, oh, I can see you. Dang, it's not the right way. But I'm working on making a screen for this whole thing. So there's a space between the actual wall and the fake wall. So you can run around, the side.
But the cows won't be moving on the
The cows won't be moving.
That's the hint.
Yeah, that's the hint. So anyway, lots of fun. And another thing that I discovered is that, so you see there's this little wall here that looks just like the bush. So I can go right behind here, and I'm also hiding as long as I have that in there. And then this one's, it's a little more obvious. So I've got this like X thing, so I can go behind here or go behind there. This is what I'm figuring out right now. So you see I have a wall right here, and I have a wall right there. So if I carefully, this helps if I can actually see myself. So, okay. So if I carefully walk between those two walls and pull my thing in, I'm hidden in the middle of the room. Isn't that the coolest? So they can only see me if they're walking by.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also, what I'm trying to do is work on a box. And I don't know if this, I can do a 3-sided box. Oh, here's another panel right there that you can't see. If I'm behind this, you can't see me. But I'm working on a box that you can actually walk into. See, I've got 3 there, but I have to work on a little bit. So like now you can't see me from 3 sides. I think it'd be really cool if we could do 4, but I'm not sure if I can. So anyway, the super duper, and this other one is fun too.
So you do that for brain break at the
Yeah.
end of a class, or okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's go play hide and seek.
Let's go play hide and
You've done
seek.
really well today. Let's go play hide and seek.
Yeah. So I put a block there that looks like the gate. You can kind of see it doubled there. Looks like the gate. But there's this thing right here. So like I can go in there and make sure, you gotta make sure like your head is not sticking out, because you can see my ponytail if my ponytail goes out of this.
Yeah. You may want to change your avatar for like somebody bald.
I know,
with
of like
no
a bald.
Yeah.
Bald one. So I don't have my hair sticking out. Anyway, so that's something fun. Yeah, and there's one over here in the corner too, where I can go over and just walk right through.
So who wins usually? Is it you or your students?
Usually they win. I have to tell them to come out. Like
Too good
or
at this.
sometimes I'm like, flash your laser at me. So I have an idea of where you are. But
That's fun.
yeah, so just some kind of fun optical illusions, more places to hide. And I generally do this by just taking pictures of the room. And again, this is only going to work in the farm room, right? Because the pictures I take
Are for the farm room.
Yeah, so I just take
Yeah.
pictures around, and then I use the different shots as
Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors.
shields, and yeah,
It's amazing. Super creative, Heidi. Very impressed.
so really fun. So I'll put that one up when I have it done, because I originally put these along, but I didn't have them facing the right way, and I was super excited. I was like, oh, watch this, and I run over to the wall. You can't see me there, but you could. But I was like this. I'm like, he can totally see me. Like, isn't this awesome? And he's like, you're just standing there. Like, I can see you. I'm like, really? You can see me? Yes, dang. Okay, got to figure that one out, because I'm just standing right. Because from this side, it looks like
It's in the wrong direction. Yeah.
I think I'm hidden.
Yeah.
But
What do you-
he's like, no, I can see you.
Heidi, I know that the laser pointer is necessary, obviously, in Koala 3D, but what about in Koala Go? Do we need a laser pointer in the playground? What do you think?
Not unless there are things that they can actually, if there are things you can actually move around.
Yeah, there will be. But
Yeah, so I think eventually, yes. I think it gets tricky if you have, because in some games and things, you actually can have like the avatar can pick it up and carry it and set it down. That can be automatic, but lots of times that entails hitting another key, or like, oh, I can't get it picked up, or but I think definitely it helps, not just, if we were going to pick things up, but to show direction.
yeah,
Like if you're trying to give a student a direction, like go
yeah,
over
of course.
there, or do you see this? You're able to pinpoint things.
Okay.
So I think eventually, as there's more to do with it, I think a laser pointer would be
An option, a good option. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome, Heidi.
Any other questions before
I don't think there's any other question, but yeah, and we're almost out of time. But I have a question for you. I know you always asking for feedback from consumers of your content and for potential consumers of your content for suggestions and feedback on your existing creations.
Yeah.
What is the best way to contact you for anybody who would want to reach out and request or give you feedback?
The koala, you can send me probably a message through the koala group.
Yeah.
Is probably the easiest way.
Yeah.
On
the koala teachers family.
On the koala teachers family.
Yep.
Yeah, you can send me a private message, or you can just put a comment in there. That's how I got there were some requests for some different incentive themes.
Yep.
And I'm totally up for that. So
perfect.
Yeah, like I had a request about everything about Japan, like a Japan theme. Yep. Or a Lego theme. I don't know. I actually started a Lego one. Nice. But again, I thought about like copyright things. Like I can't call it that, and also how in a 2D, like how would you manipulate them to actually build something or so. My mind is going on that one.
Yeah. It may make more sense in Playground if we can add this.
Is something because they are such a 3D fact. I don't know. I'm playing with it and right. Figuring out how I could do a really easy kind of incentive activity, just a simple put the Legos here, or build a Lego animal where everything's set. But I couldn't call it. It'd be a block animal or something. Yeah. But as far as making the bigger incentive, to be able to make it really useful and effective.
Emily says race cars are always popular.
Race cars. Well, I got that one race car. Will.
Yeah, it's already there.
Yeah.
Nice. So, well, Emily, thank you for your questions, and Heidi, thank you so much for joining us today and for those fantastic creations that you're blessing us with. Oh,
no problem. I love doing it. So yeah, feedback if you have any like rooms you would like to see. If there are, but kind of my plan is to start with I'll keep doing the incentive and fun type things, but you'll see a lot of my phonemic awareness for consonants, and then vowels, and then we'll work up into spelling patterns and eventually with Latin word parts and things, hopefully make it something really easy to follow if you don't, you can't be expected to be experts in everything, but I will use my expertise to help people follow. Yeah. And make instruction really effective.
Yeah. Awesome. And Lisa says boys and girls dress up. Yeah.
I thought about that. I have a girls one.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about like costume dress up or like just like dress up dolls or both. Actually, both. That would be cool. I have
Lisa says both.
Yeah, I have create a heroine and create a hero.
Yep.
But just doing boys and girls dress up. That would be fun.
And what's cool is that those activities can be used if you're teaching literacy, writing, etc., but also if you're teaching ESL or any language, actually, any language.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, so good.
Thank you, Heidi.
Spend this hour with you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Right. And see you soon, Heidi.
Later. Bye.